So how do you see Baker Mayfield in the scheme of this, Mel? You're aware that teams have that decision. It's almost like another option on their draft board, if you will. How do you slot Mayfield into this decision?
The money was what Mike Tannenbaum will talk about, how that complicates matters. Lewis is obviously either not high at all on Baker or loves the young quarterback. So I get where Lewis is coming from, but I'll go with the known over the unknown. I'll go with Baker Mayfield. He's only 20, just turned 27 years of age. He's had success in the NFL. Had a great year 2 years ago when everything around him was clicking. He was out there performing at a high level, led his team to the first playoff victory on the road since I was 9 years old. Okay, I'm going to be 62 in July. Do the math on that. I think when you look at Baker, a highly motivated kid. I think people are looking at him negatively. I think it's a little bit unrealistic. It's unforgiving. It's unreasonable, in my opinion, considering the offensive line issues, the wide receiver issues, the running back issues, and the injuries that he played through. So we're going to rip a guy for playing through an injury, a significant injury, playing through all that pain. This kid was a warrior, yet we're going to rip him for that and say, let's kick him to the curb. I like Baker Mayfield, the right system. I think he's the right kid for that. And at 27, just turning 27, I would much rather have Baker Mayfield.
Gentlemen, Mike Tannenbaum, I see you shaking your head vigorously. Go.
Yeah, here's what I know, that by NFL standards, Baker Mayfield is too small, too short, and he bloviates on social media. I'd rather have guys like Malik Willis, who is taller than Baker Mayfield, faster, and we know that he has an unlimited ceiling. He's also $18 million a year cheaper than what you have to pay Baker Mayfield. Kenny Pickett, I know he has the 27 fumbles, but I'll take his upside as well. So maybe Desmond Ridder, I agree with Lewis, maybe that's the inflection point. I can't win a championship with Baker Mayfield. By NFL standards, he's slow and short. He ran 4.85, and that's why he gets hurt. These other guys, to me, have intriguing upsides athletically and from an intangible standpoint. There's a reason 31 other teams don't want Baker Mayfield right now.
Mel?
Well, the money has a lot to do with that, Mike. I think you said about what Baker Mayfield didn't do. What he did do was almost take his team to a Super Bowl 2 years ago and put up great numbers. He's proven all the things you said aren't applicable to him, that he's done the job already. Malik Willis threw 3 interceptions against Middle Tennessee State and also Louisiana Monroe in back-to-back weeks. Kenny Pickett will have the smallest hand of any quarterback in the NFL. So I think you look at Baker Mayfield for the negatives. He's already done it against the best in the world, and he's proven he can play at a high level and almost have his team in a Super Bowl. So when you have a guy already has done it and overcome some of the things you said, Mike, these other guys have not overcome that. And Malik Willis struggled the second half of the season against inferior opposition. And like I say, Kenny Pickett is going to wear 2 gloves. He's going to have the smallest hand of any quarterback in the NFL.
Lewis?
I think, you know what, though? Look, you know, and I get your point, Mel, but we're projecting future performance here is really what it's all about in the NFL. And look, I understand what Baker has done in his past. It's about what he's going to do in his future. I am not someone who's going to bash him based off of him playing through injury and how that affected his performance last year. I saw it firsthand, talked to him about it. I know how it affected him, for sure. What really bothers me about Baker Mayfield is whether or not, or rather the big concern or the big question I have about him is whether or not he really does have the requisite awareness as to just how he does come off and the importance of how he comes off to the rest of his football team and how that really can affect negatively everything that's going on around him. I'm not saying everything in Cleveland was set up in order for him to succeed either. I know that that is not necessarily a place that is synonymous with being a culture that is conducive to winning and winning on a consistent basis at a high level. Maybe it will be in the future, but I don't think it is yet right now, and I'm not blaming that all on Baker Mayfield for sure. As a matter of fact, I've been one of the people who has said I would bring him in and talk to him. I would want to have the conversation about how he needs to adjust his personal conduct, particularly as far as how much he talks on social media and how negatively that can impact everyone around him. I don't think he's a throwaway in any way, shape, or form. But if I'm someone who is right now early in my program build, and I'm someone who I feel as though we are on this upswing, I'm going with one of these 2 young quarterbacks, despite the fact that they are unproven commodities, and some of them, especially in the case of Malik Willis's, in terms of Malik Willis, have had, let's just say, uneven performances in their college career against less than stellar competition. I'm still willing to bet on the upside, bet on my program, bet on my developmental program as far as getting these guys ready to go and getting them to play at a high level in a short amount of time. Now, like Mike said also, Look, when it comes to Desmond Ridder, I think that's a little bit of a toss-up. I think there I may go ahead and go with Baker Mayfield, especially if I feel comfortable with the with the level of awareness that he hopefully will show in terms of what he needs to change about himself and his conduct.
Oh, so I got like 2 minutes left here. Let me get a different question in. And you're all getting a sense of what our production calls are like, by the way, as we prepare for the draft. Lewis and Mel just yelling at each other. It's endlessly entertaining. We should put those on YouTube. But Mel, right now, take Mayfield out of the conversation. If you had, you desperately needed a quarterback and you have the pick that can get one, which of the quarterbacks in this draft do you take? Who's QB1 for you personally?
Malik Willis. The talent is undeniable. The attitude, the character is off the charts. I'm with Lewis on that and Mike Tannenbaum on that as well. Malik Willis, to me, despite the struggles in the second half of the season at Liberty against those weaker opponents, he has the ability to be a guy, a dual-threat quarterback that will scare teams. I talked to a GM and said, which quarterback coming into a division would scare you, that you don't want to come in your division? There's only one. That's Malik Willis. The other guys aren't going to scare anybody. Other organizations are saying, oh, we got to be careful now. Oh, daggone, he came into our division. The only guy will make them say, daggone it, why didn't he go somewhere else, is Malik Willis.
QB1, quickly, Lewis, who would be for you?
Look, I know it's going to sound like a homer pick, but I'm just a big believer in Kenny Pickett. I'm a big believer in how he is wired. I'm a big believer in the production that he had this past year, in the type of offense that he had it in. And I think he is someone who is going to get better in the NFL, provided everything else around him also continues to get better. I just think he's one of those guys that is going to play high-level winning football.
Mike T., how about you?
I'm going Pickett. His athleticism in the pocket is somewhat underrated, and he's just a bigger frame than Malik Willis. And over time in our sport, at our level, the bigger man wins over the smaller guy. So taking nothing away from Malik Willis, I think Kenny Pickett has a higher floor and a slightly higher ceiling.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.